This is the plaintiff, Ty Jakovsky. He says he purchased a beautiful black and white Scottish fold kitten from the defendant, and the cat was sick almost immediately after he brought it home. Turns out the defendant sold him a very sickly cat, infected with an aggressive immune virus, and the kitten died 1 week later. The defendants caused him irreparable emotional and financial harm, and he's suing her today for the state max of $5,000 to compensate him for all she put him through. This is the defendant, Valeria Kravchenko. She says she sold the plaintiff 2 very healthy kittens. He brought them to his vet, they got a clean bill of health, and now she's being sued? 4 months after he had the kittens, one of them unfortunately caught a virus and died. But how's that her responsibility? No one knows how his kittens got this virus, and she's simply not responsible. She's accused of selling a compromised cat. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,500 for stress and aggravation.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome,
Okay. You bought a kitten from the defendant, correct?
I bought 2 kittens from the defendant.
2 kittens from the defendant. And you had kittens, why?
Because I breed them for my pleasure.
When you say for your pleasure, what does that mean?
I like, to breed them, and I like to make people happy with my kittens.
Okay, but you sell them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And how many do you sell a year?
About 25 kittens.
25?
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, how much did you pay for each kitten?
Shika was $1,800, and his brother Mark of the same litter was $1,000.
Wow. Okay. For cat? I'm sorry. I'm a cat person, but I just didn't realize that there were those kind of numbers involved. What kind of cats are these?
So this is very special breed. You cannot find it in America. I needed to go to different country to, actually buy them for breeding, and I spent like thousands of dollars for that.
What country did you have to go?
Russia.
Oh, okay. Are you from Russia?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So that's how I know about this breed, and it's called Scottish Fold.
Scottish Fold.
Yes.
Okay. And what's so beautiful about them?
So they are like dogs, They have very calm personalities. They love people. They're just they're so plush. They are like teddy bears,
Okay. This is the kitty when the kitty was alive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the kitty was like purring or whatever, and you took a picture.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was an excellent animal for a day, basically.
Okay. When you say he was an excellent animal for a day, what do you mean?
When I brought him home, that day was amazing.
And then the next day, what happened?
The following day in the morning, took him to the vet, and he was checked out to have a clean bill of health. Yes. Later that day, he showed his initial signs of...
What was the date of purchase? I'm sorry.
The date of purchase was 10/20 was when I brought them home.
October 20th? Is that accurate? Okay.
Yes.
So go on.
From there, he and his brother both had loose stools that evening, and over the next few days, it progressively got worse. They slowly just stopped eating more and more. So I took them to the vet. At that point, they were prescribed an antibiotic called metronidazole,
Okay.
which is supposed to help their immune systems to bring them back and settle with this diarrhea. His brother, Mark, then recovered and to this day is healthy and fine. So that's kind of the end of his saga here. Shika, however, continued to deteriorate. It got to the point where he couldn't ingest the medicine orally anymore. So over the next few days, it kind of deteriorated further to the point where I had to hospitalize him, and he needed to stay overnight and be given fluids intravenously.
How long was the kitty hospitalized?
He was there overnight. He was there for...
And then you brought the kitty home?
13 hours. Yeah, he was there. They said he's eating again. He's got the meds. They kind of topped him up, and he was feeling better.
Okay.
So he was able to come home, and then he lived for like 5-6 weeks. Excellent bill of health. He was beautiful. He was lovely. Had a really great time.
And then what
with
happened?
him. And then he basically inflated and died.
Like all at once, or?
In like a week, in a few days.
All right. Did you take him back to the vet at that point?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And how long was he at the vet's that time?
he didn't stay at any point in time. It was kind of an immediate diagnosis of a fatal disease, and they said,
So did they put him to sleep?
no, not immediately. It was, we will try and treat this for whatever it could be that isn't. It's this disease is called FIP. It's feline infectious peritonitis. It is a disease where it's like so many people have like HIV basically, or the common cold, but in some of us it mutates and it turns into another disease, which is FIP. It happened to Shika. He got the coronavirus from her breeder, from her cattery.
Says who?
It says doctors. I can show you.
Okay,
Yeah.
show me the
Yeah.
doctor's report. Did the doctor write a report saying that the animal was unfit for purchase at the time of the purchase?
If you needed that, I would be able to get that.
Well, no,
I
we're
feel,
in trial
but
now.
there
It's
is,
late now. I know.
there's not a
Yeah.
physical document right now
All right.
that says.
Now, you have a contract that you have people sign, correct?
Yes,
Do you
I
have
do.
a copy of that contract with you here today?
Yes, I do.
I do as well.
Okay, let me see both copies of the contract. And you wanted to bring my attention to a specific clause in here, correct?
Yes.
Which is that breeder provides a warranty for genetic problems for 180 days.
Yeah, but this is not genetic
Breeder
problem.
is not responsible for FIP. Did you read this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you know that in here it says breeder's not responsible for FIP. Did you know what FIP was at the time?
Did not at all. It's just 3 letters, you know.
Yeah, I know. Did you ask what it was?
It's extraordinarily rare. No, I mean, I didn't know.
As most people, maybe you didn't read it that carefully.
I also brought the lemon law, which is saying, like, as you said, that, you know, he needs to show me before he asks me for money. He needs to show me this paper unfit for purchase.
Yeah, this lemon law she's talking about. Let me see what you have. I want to see if it's the actual New York law.
It's actually saying that the plaintiff cannot ask me for more. For a price
I'll tell you what it says.
Yeah.
All right, so here's how it goes. If within 14 days following the sale of an animal, subject to this article, which this animal is, a vet of the customer's choosing, licensed by the state, certifies an animal to be unfit for purchase due to illness or the presence of symptoms of a contagious or infectious disease, and that would be at the time of sale, then what she's got to do is afford you the right to choose one of several options. The right to return the animal and receive a refund, the right to return the animal and receive an exchange animal, or the right to keep the animal because people bond with their animals and receive reimbursement from them for anything that you spent trying to cure the animal up to the cost of the animal. So it's a very, it's a very specific statutory scheme that's involved.
Yeah, and I think this is where it gets interesting. Would you like me first to submit the evidence here regarding the where the infection comes from, and then what is actually the risk to his brother, to his litter mate who has that cat that we were?
Where
speaking
did you
of
get
earlier?
that?
This is from the hospital. They said, here is the disease that he
Okay,
has.
yes.
So, like, this is the
I'd
information.
like everything the hospital gave you.
Yes, absolutely.
So go on.
So what was interesting is that on an initial hospitalization, when I spoke to her, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, he was actually on antibiotics a few days before."
So tell me about that. Why was the animal on antibiotics a few days before?
So basically, little kittens, they can have diarrhea, right? And to stop this diarrhea, there is a medicine called metronidazole that you can give them, and it stops right away.
So you made the decision to administer the medicine,
Yes.
and you gave it to the animal for 2 days.
Yes, and it stopped. And then I warned the plaintiff that if something happens, please let me know, because
Did you
I
ever
have-
tell him before you sold him the animal that the animal had just been on antibiotics?
no.
How many days earlier had the animal been on antibiotics?
3 days, I would say.
So 2 days of antibiotics, 3 days, and then he picks
were
up the
good.
animal.
Yeah, they
How
were-
old was the animal when he picked him up?
2.5 months old,
2.5 months.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
The timeline is inaccurate. It was 2 days, then I picked him up on the 3rd day. So that, like, the 3rd day when she mentioned.
How do you know that?
Because we were in contact. She said, "Oh, I'm giving him some medicine. Pick him up on this next day."
So there was no gap.
There was no gap. So she basically hopped him up on these antibiotics.
So she did tell you about the medicine
No,
before
excuse
you
me,
picked up the cat.
But not that it was antibiotics.
What did you ask her? What's the medicine?
No, because it was more like we're treating the diarrhea. She didn't really
So
say.
you knew that the animal had diarrhea.
And I said, fine, if you
You
want me
knew
to.
that the animal was being treated, and you knew there was being a medicine administered.
I didn't know if there was a medicine.
Okay,
being
and what did you want to interrupt with?
He asked me for the name of the medicine, and I told him.
When?
And, I told him about medicine
When?
on
I want
October 22nd.
Okay, so October 22nd
Yes.
is 2 days
And-
after he has the animal.
And I
so
offered
do you,
him-
if she tells you by text 48 hours later, do you ever tell the doctor what it is?
That's why when we went back to the vet,
All right,
we got
and then
him.
the doctor knows it, does whatever he's going to do,
They
continues
said,
that same
"We need to
medication.
get back on that drug
and
and let's
everything
finish
looks
that."
fine. It worked for the other cat. It didn't work for this one.
Yes, because he was kind of far gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does the animal die? How many months later was it?
5 weeks.
Okay, and
Yeah.
how did Shika
Shika, yes.
pass away?
Shika came down with the feline infectious peritonitis, which basically weakened his immune system. A pre-existing kind of, not necessarily condition, but almost like something that can push a cat to allow this virus that it has to mutate is a weakened immune system, which I believe she enabled by putting him on 2 days of antibiotics and then saying, here, he's a healthy cat. I figured he just had diarrhea. Okay, fine. I don't know. Maybe just give him a Tums or something. I don't know. I'm not like a breeder. I'm buying a $2,000 cat from this woman. I'm expecting a living
Right, she
animal.
did. I've read the
you know.
text. What I'd like to know is before you bring the cat back in December. So there's 5 weeks where there's no problem, no diarrhea, nothing, no medicine.
He's great. Yeah.
And when you bring the cat back, did the other cat show any symptoms of sickness?
The other cat has not. No, he's
Not even in December when this cat was in full-blown FIP.
No, but he
Okay.
has the coronavirus and may at any day succumb to this disease, which is also why I'm here, because we'll need some cash if if that's gonna happen to him as well.
Okay, well, that would be completely speculative on your part, right?
I mean, perhaps.
Right.
But
Okay. So now, how do we know when the cat got the coronavirus?
It's because the disease is kind of elusive.
Well, this is interesting. FIP stems from infection with the enteric coronavirus of cats, but FIP is not contagious. So you don't give it to another cat. So why is all this other stuff?
The virus, the FIP is the condition when the virus mutates and then kills you as a disease. The coronavirus is what is contagious, is spread to other animals. And if you actually read on, FIP actually still transfers the virus. It doesn't actually transfer a positive FIP. FIP is
You don't have a doctor. Do you have a doctor saying this cat had FIP in the first 14 days?
not in the first 14 days, however.
Right. So how is it then that you would be entitled to? I realize this. Look, I get it. You paid a lot of money. You had a cat. The cat died in 5 or 6 weeks. I get it.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to prove in a court of law that you can tell me 100 times, well, the cat had it in it, but it mutated on this one, it mutated on that, but this is all speculation on your part. You have to be able to tell me that there was a detected virus and that's 14 days, and that the animal was thus unfit for purchase, and that's exactly what your vet has to say for you to be able to get money back. Now, she was saying to you that she would give you some money back, or that she would give you all the money back, that she needed to be on a payment plan and some other stuff.
Yes.
Why was that happening? You were freaking out when the animals were first brought in, saying, oh, I was praying all night, I'm so glad to hear they're better and all that. And then when the animal dies, he writes to you and he says, you got to help me with this. And you offer to help him with the bills. Tell me
Yes.
about that.
Yes, I did, because, first of all, he was pushing me, and I was pregnant, and, I was like emotional stressed. And so after he pushed me, I'm like, okay, can I give you refund of the kitten by payments? Because I just don't have, that money right now. And he said no. He kept pushing me.
Oh, you should have taken that. But anyway, go ahead. And then you said $500 a month, and then he also said no.
Yes.
And then what happened? Then you got sued.
And then, I just,
Now
he
you have a
pissed me off.
counterclaim against him for $2,500 for what?
I lost my child last week,
I'm sorry to hear that.
And all this process was very tough for me, I've never been sued before, and I love my cats, and I was texting him, calling him every day, and actually I have some papers that
Okay,
showing.
but hold on one second.
that
You're not suggesting you lost your baby because you had this dispute with him.
But I had so much stress, and
Over this?
Yes.
Do you have
because
children?
I love my.
Do you have
no,
children?
it was my
This
first,
is your first
pregnancy. Yeah.
Okay, I'm here to tell you, as someone who had miscarriages, it is very common, as I'm sure the doctor told you, that first pregnancies result in this. Okay? It is not because of him or the problem with the cat. And if it is, then that is an issue for you to undertake therapy for. Because, you know, if you're pregnant and you have to take care of the baby, and you're having such stress that would cause you to lose a baby, then you shouldn't be having such stress. You know what I'm saying?
She'll be even more stressed if she has to pay the plaintiff $5,000. Judge Millian rules next.
I'm very sorry that happened. I'm sure, as the doctor said, you're young and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't change the loss that you feel. I know the dates of both my miscarriage, and I think about it every year. And I have children who are 23, 22, and 18. So it's painful, but you will get past this, and it truly has nothing to do with our case. As far as your counterclaim against him, zero.
But I have more papers.
Stop.
Okay.
And on your claim, unless it has to do with his claim against you.
About FIP, I wanted to.
I don't need to know any more about
Okay,
FIP.
okay.
I researched FIP before.
Okay.
I didn't know anything until this case.
Isn't it awful?
I really didn't, and it is really awful. And I before I became a dog person, I was a cat person, and I had never heard of that. And it's just awful. It's awful. But sometimes not every awful thing that happens to us, someone else has to pay for. You know, the law is very specific about what you have to have in order to have her pay you. And you don't have it. You don't have, I see where the doctor's saying, wow, it's really irresponsible not to tell you. That I saw in the emails back and forth, it's really irresponsible to just have 2 days of antibiotics and not tell you. But except for she did tell you. And
Well, she told me after the fact. It was
yeah, after the sale, but within 48 hours and before your doctor treated. And frankly, your doctor continued the course she had started.
But it
so no,
allowed
we're
the
done. We're done, my
animal
dear.
to-
We're done. We're done. You don't have what you need. Let's start off with you don't have the basic thing you need, which is a certificate from a veterinarian that's licensed in the state that says the animal was unfit for purchase. But even if the doctor had said that, I'm going into all of this background stuff because I want you to know it's not that you forgot to get something special. It's that vet was never going to say that. Because I see from what the vet knows that there's no way the vet could have said that, you see? So on your lawsuit against her, I'm ruling in favor of the defendant.
So in these competing lawsuits, both sides failed to prove their case. What's your reaction to the judge's verdict?
You know, I mean, if it's all about the paperwork, then that's what it's going to be.
You know, you were suing for irreparable emotional distress.
Yeah,
That's
it was-
one of the things.
yeah.
Has it been that bad, that hard on you?
It was pretty terrible. I mean, this animal formed a really strong bond in our family, and it was really sad to, you know, see him be lost. Yeah, it was unfortunate.
But the other cat's doing okay.
Mark's all right. Yeah.
If something should happen to him, will you go back to sue her again for that virus?
I think now knowing that there's a paper trail that I might need to follow, that I will follow up with
You'll
that
try and do
and
that.
see
Okay.
if there's opportunities for actually getting some of the stuff that the judge needs.
Thank you very much. All right, you must sign a few documents on your way out of the courtroom. Sorry you could not prevail. And same thing in your case. Sorry you couldn't prevail. You okay with that? You understand?
Yes, I understand.
This is emotionally tough for you too as well, right?
Yeah. I love my cats, you know, I do everything for them. So it was just not fair the way he was talking to me. I've been nice to him since the first day.
Very obvious. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Harvey?
So, Doug, to win a case like this, you really need an expert. You need a vet to say what the problem is with the cat and whether that problem existed at the time of sale.